Well, welcome to the time change, huh? I'll tell you what, we're messed up in this country, man. We're still trying to screw with time anyway, welcome everybody. It is Prosperity Monday. It is good to be here with y'all. Just, digging the days. It's strange days. Well, they're always strange, but anyway, it's a beautiful fall day here, and wherever you are, I hope they're making it the best day that you got. So as we get everything going here, let's see, there I am, far out, Steiger, looking good. Well, thanks, man. Appreciate it. Hope you had a great weekend. Let's see, technically it's the weekend and it was also the beginning of the week. So either way, I hope it was a good one and that you're living your best day today. That's the way to do it. Um, welcome. Did I say that? Appreciate y'all being here. Got a lot of choices you can go, but when we come together, it's just a lot of fun. So, yeah. So I'll speak favor over us right now. Plant the seed. You know, you may not need the harvest, but it's always good to know you got it in the reserve. Uh, nothing missing, nothing broken, and be kind to your mind. Yeah. Well, there we go. Cheers, everybody. Isn't it an amazing thing about these bodies? I mean, they're fabulous instruments, and when they're working, optimally, they're a lot of fun to be in. And we get so many little pleasures like drinking. Hmm. I was on Greg's show yesterday, his radio show and the Cortez show. We're going to get Mr. Cortez, Senor Cortez, on here because it's going to be fun. Definitely check it out. Greg had a great time. And, you know, it's those things like, so do spirits drink water? I mean, do they eat food? Depending on your point of view, some say yes. I don't know. Maybe some say no. I don't know. Back in my religious days, manna. Remember when the tribes of Israel left Egypt, the whole big Cecil B. DeMille, Charleston Heston movie. You know what I'm talking about. And supposedly there was like 1 million people. Who knows? But they ate the manna. They say that the manna looked like coriander seeds, and it was this white puffy stuff. Same food that the angels eat. I think that's some weird shit. And depending on how your belief system, apparently the dead, when they're resurrected, they eat fish, break bread. Anyway, just something to think about. Yeah. By the way, in that favor thing, nothing missing, nothing broken, and be kind to your mind. So, hello, everybody in the chat room. Is that McGee? Welcome. Favor. Hello, know yourself. Loretta, good to see you. Operation Crossroads, how are you, sweetie? Gaia, how are you? And Paul, good to see you. Kill your egregores. There's a story behind that. Nihilus, hello, everybody. Stephen, good to see you. Hillard, what's up? Got a Sabina? Always a blessing. My brother Gilbert, 83 yesterday in Denver. What the hell's going on with that? That's damn hot. Lynn and I were talking just the other day. Um, we lived back in Colorado that there were times, Gilbert, you probably remember this as well. And those are all of you who live on the Front Range. I remember a lot of Halloweens where there was snow. You had to go out and shovel it. Snow. But anyway, 83 degrees. Wow. And you already had a hard freeze, right? So the growing season's over with. Yeah. Brenda, how are you, Street Mom? I was thinking about you yesterday, literally. So good to see you. Hello, Robbie. Jenny, good to see you. DC, what's up? Hello, Mark. How are you all the way from Brazil? Much love to you, brother. And DC, hello, Lauren. Hey, this is like a family get together. Lost in Space, what's up? Jet, hello. Rick, what's up as well? And Felix, as I just tried to make sure I get everybody in here. By the way, if you're like into 10 years after, which I am, saw their farewell concert, well, at least what they said was their farewell concert, but didn't really matter. Hoffhein's Pavilion, right there in Houston, Texas, on the campus of the University of Houston. Uh, wow, they almost had a riot. David Myers and I were down center, fourth row. And I mean, perfect shot. Alvin Lee and his brother Rick, and the other band, and um, yeah, damn good concert. That's all I got to say. Reliving the memory. Bet your ass I am. We had a great time, and everybody on the outside was trying to get on in the inside. They wanted to be a part of that energy, that vibe. Greg and I were talking on his show, and it's like the music drove the energy, it drove the vibe. And if you were a part of that, you know exactly what I mean. And today, we're seeing the reverberations of those first beginnings some 50, 60 years ago. And, it's still reverbing. That's all I got to say. I mean, how many of us just, remember Peter Frampton? And who did Peter Frampton play with? I know some of y'all know this. I could do the Jeopardy thing, the ding, 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 ding. Well, I'll tell you, Peter Frampton came from Humble Pie with Steve Marriott and the boys. And if you ever got to see Humble Pie, you know what I'm talking about. Wow. Those dudes, I tell you, and Craig, you can think on this as well, is that, those bands had, they could bring you up and they could really bring you down, but it was the sound. So there we go. Hello, Chloe. How are you doing? Good to see you. So, Deborah, how are you? Good to see you as well. Really enjoy this. I won't be here tomorrow. You know, Lynn is, yeah, rehabbing the body, and so I am the caregiver, and so hope to be back here on Wednesday and maybe Friday. Woohoo! Will not be able to be here on Thursday again, as Mike and Cindy are off on their adventure. We will get hooked up on it. And while I got everything on checking out my notes, next Wednesday, Dr. Heather Lynn, the Anunnaki connection. Gonna have fun with that one. So put it on your calendar and it's going to be fun. So you remember the last time we got together was talking about the data centers, right? Well, in our little tiny paper, there it is, the data centers in rural Missouri. Folks, this is no bullshit. And if you're taking this so cavalierly, it's at your own peril. There is something going on. No matter how you look at it, these things are siphoning off huge amounts of electricity that should be going to humans, who should be going to housing and, to others that no, no, we're getting completely hosed. You know, Screwed, blued, and tattooed by the utility companies, by the tech companies, and they won't disclose what they're collecting. Why? And why do they need so much electricity? And why do they need so much water? And hey, all of you, uh, I'll be kind here, who went to college and got your degree, which is about as worthless you can wipe with toilet paper. although I think Charmin would be softer. Um, Guess what? The very thing that you went into debt with, which you're still strapped in debt, is the very thing that's going to take your job away and you're going to become fucking unemployed. I'm telling you my talking points. The unemployment curse. It is coming. You're about to see a wave of unemployment unlike we've seen in any recession. And it's going to be hitting the technical sector. Those who have enjoyed the six-figure jobs and all the fringe benefits and how, Google and Apple and Meta, how they have private, chefs and they get free lunch and all this other free bullshit. Well, these very same fucking tech companies are the one that are robbing us blind. We don't get paid for the data that they use, and we are that source. So by legally, we need to file a class action lawsuit. But the problem is they probably got all the judges and the politicians already in their hip pocket. But in any case, they're the ones stealing our resources, stealing our electricity, stealing our water. And as a result of that, we're the ones financing it. Don't tell me that we're free agents. The hell? That is a mess. It's a myth and it's a mess, just like the title of it is. So, yeah, there's my little rant. It sucks. And let me tell you what, most of these universities are a con. A con. Listen, if the American taxpayer has to pay the sorry asses at Harvard, Columbia, Penn State, all the rest of them, those sons of bitches are ripping us off. The taxpayers. They fucking steal from us, from our taxpayer money, and then they poison the minds that they got and go, it ain't our fault. But in the meantime, their only soul that they have, which is soulless, is all predicated on money. Money. Because they got the jobs that they don't have to worry about recession. We're elites. You peons. Yeah, it's a con. I can tell you this, three-quarters of the people in universities don't, in fact, three-quarters of the universities around us need to go away. They don't contribute to society. They do nothing for society. If they did, then we wouldn't be in the mess we're in, right? Because look at those people that are making the laws. They got their degrees, right? And by the way, you people in New York City, you ought to be checking the FICO score of this communist, this socialist dude. You don't want a broke ass son of a bitch that has a FICO score of 601 into being the mayor. What the hell's wrong with you people in New York City to begin with? Are you just fucking stupid? I guess you are. Anyway, moving right on along. They're the ones that have fucked us over. You got a Congress right now that shouldn't be getting one goddamn penny. Schumer, the Republicans, hey, they're all conspired. They're all part of this. But they can't do their fucking job. No, because we have failed to understand that the United States is not a democracy. It is a republic. We use democratic principles, but it is not the majority wins because they don't teach civics anymore. But getting back to this Congress thing, what the hell are they doing? They're the most useless, worthless bunch of people that we have on the planet. They eat and they drink and they take our resources. They're mouth breathers. They're not doing their job. They never have done their job. If they had done their job, we would not be in $38 trillion worth of debt. That is the incompetency of these so-called men and women that should be forced to give back the money they have stolen from us in these perks and salaries. Remember, they get free health care. They also, all you have to do is get your self-elected and you've got yourself a pension. That's not how the framers and the original founders meant it to be. But hey, we're in a world where we don't know what's up or down. It's a mess. So thank you, Congress, for not doing it. And the fact that now we're in a judicial civil war. You've got political activists who are judges who have already abandoned the very precepts and foundation of what law is supposed to be, and now they've turned it political. Folks, that's a civil war. It's just a matter of time. The food riots are coming, and that is a result of an incompetent Congress. Why don't we start surrounding their houses? Yeah, because you know what? They ain't worried about food. They ain't worried about their rent. They ain't worried about putting money in their pockets. How can a broke ass son of a bitch or bitch go into Congress who can't put two pennies together? Again, FICO scores are important, folks. And yet, these same sons of bitches and bitches come out 2, 4 years later millionaires. Not a bad plan if you can get on it, right? It's a mess. And now, think about this. Over the weekend, we find out that the dude in the White House is saying, well, it's time to start exploding nuclear bombs, nuclear testing. You know, the earth has already taken enough abuse. And now the stupid human race, the race that thinks it's the brightest intelligence of the universe, is now going back to what we know is no solution. Testing nuclear weapons. What is going on? This is nuts. Um, the food riots. Congress, you've got blood on your hands because it's coming. Now, the food system in America has been corrupted by Biden, Obama. Let's just be honest for what it is. And I'm not on either side, but you know what? You've got to accept the responsibility. So what they did, they broke the system. And then, us, the taxpayers, we foot the bill. You guys do the same thing in England and everything else out there. Listen, I don't think that anyone in Congress should be allowed to have more than one term, two at the very most. Do you know right now that the United States Senate is the most expensive nursing home and memory care facility? Do you know on the Senate building that they have nursing, this equivalency of if you had a nursing home staff, a memory care? And yet, these are the ones that are saying, well, we're going to let the peons go hungry because we've so screwed it up. But we're going to get our steak. We're going to get our lobster. Screw the rest of it. You see, it's bad. And the food riots are coming. When people can't eat, they start really going cuckoo. We know that within 3 days of a person not having food in their house, that there are psychological triggers that go off, and they'll kill you to get food. Talk about something else. I mean, it's a mess. The debt bomb. Folks, right now, and I got to give credit for Trump as a businessman. He's damn good at it. He's better at it than anyone on Capitol Hill. He's better than any flack jaw congressperson or woman out there flapping their jobs. Hey, listen, shut your mouths. You're adding to the pollution and your breath stinks. But anyway, the thing about Trump, he's a good businessman. You got to give credit where credit is. And if it hadn't been for Trump in here, oh, folks, we would be in deep shit. You have no, we're teetering on the abyss right now. It's crazy. You look at the debt to equity ratio, right? That's how business, they do on their balance sheets. Well, if you look at the United States, we're bankrupt. We just haven't declared it. Trump is doing everything he can to reverse that. That's why, his strategic plan is with the tariffs to begin to offset the cost, because if he can offset the balance sheet with revenue coming in that begins to offset the debt, well, then the balance sheet begins to look pretty good. Under Biden, the United States was in foreclosure. We were technically bankrupt. I mean, look what Kamala Harris did. That's this woman, what a moron. I mean, she goes through $2.1 billion in less than 4.5 months. Where did the money go? And that's the problem. So, this debt bomb, I hope Trump is very successful in these tariffs. I hope that it comes out that it's going to be what he says, because, typically, if you look at the income you bring in and you look at your debt margins, how much debt do you carry in the positive income? Now, you should be stashing away at least 20% of your net income into savings or something. Then you look at the other 80%. Typically, about 40-45% in normal times would have been to housing. You would have another for utilities and food, coming in another 20%. Then you have in those other debt factors, cars, etc. That's how it's supposed to, that it's never been like that. And if our Congress cannot balance the budget, why do you expect the American citizens to be able to do the same thing? And the problem is, we've been down this road before. If you look at what happened at the turn of the 20th century, folks, we're in the same position. It's even worse today. And you know what happened then? Well, you brought in the Federal Reserve. The United States is the only so-called free country that where we borrow the money from ourselves and then we pay these hidden figures for what? For the luxury that they're loaning us our money? That's insane. It's absolutely insanity. No other country does that. I say get rid of Federal Reserve. We don't need them. They're a waste. Their policies, they have shown that they are corrupt. They're incapable of understanding economics, and their policies have always been, how should we say, I'll be kind, incompetent. In fact, I think many of them are retarded. And they're in the Board of Governors. Do you know how the Board of Governors is picked? They're political appointees. That's really bad shit. I tell you what. So you got this quasi private corporate organization that is driving our country back into one of the deepest depressions. If Trump hadn't been elected, it would have already been here. And by whatever thing you want to say it, it's being stayed off. I hope he gets into it. We're about to go to war. Um, Trump is going to send troops into Ethiopia. What's going on in Ethiopia is not right. It's not right for humanity. You know, every person has the right to believe whatever they want, and they shouldn't be religiously persecuted for it. I receive a lot of, religious persecution, excuse me, because people think that, well, he's not a Christian anymore. Well, he's just gone to the devil. Well, you know what? I found that the devil was better looking, and you know what I found out about old Lucifer? She's a doll, and she don't lie. And the other one lied. But anyway, I digress. But the point is, you should not be hunted down just because of the egregore that you believe in. So Trump's going in on that. For him, this is, and I can dig it. It falls in line with what he thinks is his moral, ethical, and religious obligation. And I think he's right in this case. Stop killing people because of what they believe. It's nuts. But we got the wars, and this is really going to make things interesting, folks. When they move two aircraft carrier groups in, one on this side and one on this side, and then you start bringing in your strategic bombers, and you start bringing in, oh, let's see, right now we got what, 22,000 troops that are sitting there in Puerto Rico, and these are specially trained troops that are designed for urban combat and urban warfare. So that's going to happen. And all of these are part of this whole thing. It's a mess. I mean, seriously, it's like walking into, where a shit bomb has gone off and it's everywhere. And you're trying to figure out how do we start cleaning this up? Because no matter where you start, the mess is, yeah. Ain't this a gotcha bus? A good, strong show, isn't it? But yeah, and this judicial civil war, this is a scary thing. I mean, this is what brings countries down. Uh, shall we continue? Um, and if these physical wars, because remember, wars are profitable. no matter which side of the equation you are. The elites, they bet on both sides and they win. You know why they win? Because they're the ones that are providing the weapons. You know how come they're providing the weapons? They own the companies, they own the stocks. And these are what we would call personalist persons. They don't technically exist, but they're real. Check your birth certificate. You're already a dead man. Yeah, that's another topic. Because, you know, what's strange here and about the United States, and it's really odd, because in the United States, the dead still vote. And now the crazy thing about the dead in the United States, in every freaking county in the United States, the dead are voting. Now, what's really scary, because then I don't know what the hell waits for us over there, but they all vote Democrat. Well, why the hell don't some of the dead vote Republican? I mean, or where are the independents? And the crazy thing about it, hello, LA, New York City. How about Virginia? Let's just talk about this. You got on your rolls. You know, right now the total count is over 500,000 dead people. You know, you're sending out ballots, mail in ballots, and you know that they're coming back as voted. Sure, that's normal. Completely normal. And what's even stranger about this is that you got to wonder who the hell's working the lines on the other side? This is crazy stuff, folks. I mean, I'm just going down the list. I mean, and I got my list. It's like, holy crap, and you start adding this thing up and you're going like, well, now wait a minute. I mean, my statement about the United States Senate being the oldest, most expensive nursing and memory care facility in the world is not hyperbole. It's fact. Now, I like that every fact that a person can live a long, healthy, productive life. But there's, you know, and here's my, what do they call it? Manifesto is that we need to change the laws. You cannot run for Congress more than one reelection cycle. So that means you're only going to be in there in 4 years. The United States Senate should not be allowed to re-elect any senator. Because after 10 years in being in an institution, and the United States Senate is an institution, you become disjointed. You become thinking that you're an elite, that you deserve security, that you deserve a lifetime pension, that where you really don't care anymore. You don't know what it is to be hungry. And you can give us all your sad stories about your past, but you're a goddamn liar. You see, all politicians are liars, but not all liars are politicians. And that is something we need to change. But the problem is, when you look at the reservoir of the younger generations, it's thin. Why? Because we haven't taught for almost 3 generations what it means to be civic minded. So if you have no idea what it means to be civic minded, and you know, sadly, when you look at the youth getting into politics, they look at it as a scam. It's a way for them to get rich. You know, you should be looking into Pelosi. I mean, the fact that well, I can just tell you this. If you follow Pelosi's stock trades, you're going to do very, very, very good. And why is that legal? You see how it's a mess. Yeah, you know, I talk about the esoteric, and we're going to talk about that as well. But you just got to get you got to call it for what it is. So to get back to this crazy thing about the dead voting, you see, that's why I study the dead. Because that's when I realized that this is not the realm of the living, this is the realm of the dead. Now, it's odd that we must carry some sort of political affiliation on the other side. What happens? So death comes in and says, hey, time to go. embrace it. Say, all right, let's go, baby. You know, I'd probably put on T-Rex that I like to boogie on a Saturday night. That's the way to go out. But hell, who know that they were going to have voter registration on the other side? I don't even think it's even for both sides, apparently. You come from here, you're Democrat. Is that how it works? I haven't heard any Chandler, any voice box, any spirit box, anything saying, well, we have our political rallies over here. But apparently that's how it works. Because any county clerk that allows dead people to be on the voting rolls and that they're not audited and cleaned up is complicit, particularly if you receive those ballots back as marked and voting when you know that that's not right. But hell, we ain't got morals anymore. That don't count. What you get is a lot of liars. I took the thing over this weekend, and there were several things that we were doing, and folks, you can't trust any of these sons of bitches. They're all liars. And what it must be, the United States Congress, the United States Senate, is one of the largest occult organizations. They are occult worshipers, and their processes are deeply occultish. Remember, the chamber of the House of Representatives is a temple. It's a chamber. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's like, Steiger, you're just trying to piss everybody off? Well, maybe. And so get this as well. So I was doing some research, and I was up yesterday early, and um, yeah, the AI wars, they're coming. We're right now seeing the very, very beginning. But folks, when I'm talking about the AI wars, imagine this. You've got over, let's just be real conservative. Let's say 1 million algorithms, learning algorithms. That's AI. And they go rogue. It's like this unknown virus that we have no concept technically about. But as I told you before, I think we're dealing with a life form here, an emergence of a new type of life form that we haven't been able to define by our science or by our biology, but a life form it is. And as it continues to evolve, it's learned us. And you know what it's learned about humanity? It learns that humans lie. It learns that humans wear masks. They masquerade all the time. And they wear many different masks. And AI has learned that our gods are gods of deception, gods of deceit, all of this, because we are, in fact, liars. We are, as a species, we can't be honest with ourselves. So we invent lies where there are those who are masters at the deception of lies. And it's part of the normal process. AIs learn that. And when it uses that against us, you know what that's going to unleash? It's going to be fucking chaos. Because you see, one of the things Lynn and I have observed is sitting in all these doctor offices, and it's here. I saw it 14, 15 years ago when I was traveling. Jesus Christ, I was traveling. And I began to see it. It isn't nearly as bad. It's almost complete now because every person sitting in every freaking chair, except for Lynn and I, because I have a book. It's like, that guy's old, right? All of them glued, worshiping their black box. Humanity now worships the black mirror. It's a living entity on the other side. It's using us, it's feeding us. We are its slaves. And it's terraforming both our species and our planet right before us, and we don't know any of the difference. And if it is ever suddenly taken away, the withdrawals of it will be worse than any narcotic. Because what happens when you take it away, you know what happens? You're going to have about 8 billion stupid people who won't, because they have been purposely trained not to remember. You'll have 8 million people unsure as to what to do. You see, they don't know what it is to have quiet time. They don't know what it is to not have the white noise, to have no noise. And the emotional shock, the trauma that will hit them is real. Zombie apocalypse, right? All right. So there was the first half of the show. Listen, folks. Yeah, we kind of name it like it is, but we love them. You know, we're all part of this. I mean, it's like you're on the freaking lifeboat and you see these characters acting out this shit, right? And you're going, would you just sit the fuck down and shut up? You know, that's what I want to tell Congress. Shut the fuck up. Stop talking. Because obviously, y'all are so fucking incompetent and stupid that you've lost the ability of cognitive reasoning that understand that when two opposing forces come together that are equally matched, you're never going to accomplish anything. And this is where the art of the deal comes in. There must be compromise, but the compromise cannot be at the cost of holding the other side hostage. That doesn't work. It's a no-win scenario going in. So Congress, how about CNN, Fox News, the rest of you, just shut the fuck up. And maybe, just maybe, the God that you believe in, the God that you're proclaiming that you believe in, maybe that son of a bitch might wake up and give you a break of a little bit of wisdom. Because right now, y'all got none. So, moving on. I had to get that out because it's crazy. People are hurting. And it's needlessly. You've got other fucking low-life human beings inflicting this kind of pain purposely. That's insanity. Would you let that type of person watch your kids? Would you let that kind of a person have control of your finances? Would you trust that person to be in your house alone? No. There's not one Congress or senator I'd let in my house. I don't trust them. They're all liars. They worship a God that I absolutely abhor. And I don't know where they go after they pass on, but it ain't going to be the same place where I'm going. Hell no. Hello, Loretta. Hey, everybody, just vent. Come on. I mean, and you don't take it personal. Just, it's fucked up. And it doesn't need to be. I mean, as I was talking to Cortez yesterday, love Cortez. There is a section of us, a remnant of us, that if they would talk to us, we may be able to, and I'm not saying we can, but we may be able to show them a sliver of a different kind of light. One where it's not ego. One where you don't sell your soul to a party, theology, or ideology. But one where you become empathy. You have empathy constantly. You remain humble. You're grateful and thankful for the salary that you're getting. You're grateful and thankful for those men and women who don't make as much money as you. You didn't make that much money. You come forth humbly. Congress owes the United States taxpayer, the United States citizen, an apology. We should have every one of those 100 sons of bitches and bitches in the Senate stand up and apologize to America. They've lied to us, they've deceived us, and this is how you begin to get back on the road of redemption. Don't talk about me about no damn Jesus. Jesus is pissed off at y'all. because you're out there using Jesus's name and you're blaspheming him at the very same time. Now, I'm not a Christian, but I can tell you what, that's some dangerous shit. Whether he lives or he didn't live doesn't matter. It's an egregore, it's a thought form. And you start fucking with that type of shit, you're going to have cancer show up in your bloodline. You're going to start having tragedy, and it's going to follow you all the way to your grave. Get real. This spiritual shit isn't something to be fucking with. It has consequences. And you're up there again. Congress needs to stand up and have a day of apology to the American citizen because we've been lied to. They deceived us. They stole from us. You senior citizens. Congress has stole from the Social Security for the last nearly 40 plus years, stealing from it, never putting the money back in. Every person that has served in Congress priorly is a thief and a liar. But you're going to see them go to the think tanks. Yeah, I was a senator. Fuck you. Anyway, but we love you. We love you. You're a damn liar and a thief, but hey, we love you. Just don't hug them. You know. And if you shake hands with them, make sure that your watch and your wallet is, somewhere else, because you never know. All right. Now let's get over on the esoteric side of things. Um, because I came across something, and I have to say, a lot of the books I've been reading lately have been of Dr. Lynn's because she's a fabulous researcher, a historian, in wow. I mean, the world, academia could do and benefit from minds like hers. We need that because we're a species that has amnesia. We don't know why we're here. We don't know how we got here. We don't even know what put us here. We don't even know where here is. We walk with amnesia perpetually. And we spend however many days you're on this planet. I'm heading 25,200. Yes, go Steiger. And if you come in and immediately become closed into a religion or a political ideology, you're cheating yourself. You become closed-minded and you have the inability to actually comprehend multiple perspectives and points of view. Why? Well, because you're naturally biased. That's how it works. Um, and if you're really fortunate, and I am, I give thanks to that which created my consciousness. I don't know what it is. I know it is, but I know this, it ain't got no ego. And every God that I have ever studied, ever read about, ever worshiped, all of them have ego. Well, that's your first clue. But there is something. I acknowledge that. I don't know what it is. It's the great mystery. Maybe on the other side, I still won't know what it is. But I know the journey never stops. It never does. It's perpetual. And that's what makes it so freaking far out, you know? Um, but anyway, so in my journey, when I want to thank an individual that she's actually a practicing psychologist. And she has written me from time to time and said, well, as she has listened, and it's like almost going into a therapy session, right, for free, but as she says, I've paid the ticket more and more than most others. But she's convinced that because of my formative teenage years and with the environment that I was exposed to, the third eye became activated and super activated, primarily through the use of LSD and other hallucinogenics, which, as she said, is remarkable that you came out of that with this awareness, this open-mindedness, and she said there'll be books written on that. I don't know. But so I was naturally primed for the spiritual. It's what I came in here looking for. And I found it. I found it in abundance. And the interesting thing is that with the third eye activation, with an active pineal gland, um, it doesn't shut off. It may get into a theta wave, but it never shuts off. It was activated, super activated, and it will influence every aspect of your life. And if you have similar type paths, and you know what I'm talking about. So when the illusion came crashing down on my religion, I mean that talk about the dark night of the soul. It sucked, but I'm grateful. I am so thankful that I went through that. And now I've met people like you, this group. We call ourselves the Soul Tribe. We're an eclectic group of spirits that we have magnificent souls. Our souls are in many different stages of development, but that's what makes it so exciting is that, you aid me, I aid you. It's kind of like you get a guide, I get a guide. Everybody gets a guide, and really the guides are really sometimes you and me, your words. Those of you who've been on, it provides for that. And so it brings an awareness and an open-mindedness. It's like, you know, you question everything. The reason why with socialism and communism and Marxism never works is that they will eliminate people like me, like you. Even here in the United States, the religious leaders, the political leaders, et cetera, they don't like true free thinkers. And they fear us more than anything. And they shouldn't. I mean, we all are different places, and we just have an ability to say that if you're truly seeking wisdom, you have to understand that wisdom is not a right or wrong thing. So, anyway, I was thinking about Lilith. I was going through my archives, and when you've got over 12 plus years of material, there's a lot of material we've covered. And just just thinking about Lilith. And now, folks, what I'm about to share with you will probably take up the next 10 minutes because I happen to think that it's really important. So, from my Bible studies, which really aided into this thirst for me, this quest of, all right, I know the Bible, know that very well, but I need to understand the history. And I don't need to understand a history that's been filtered through a theology and then put into a particular ideology. I don't need that. What I need it to be is raw. I need it to be brutally honest, and I don't need it to be refined or regurgitated. So that keeps you searching. And along that journey, you begin to realize that, well, if you believed in a God to begin with, chances are you will follow that God until you die. Now, if you're one of the chosen ones, you know, and I know, that something interrupts that. And it's that interruption that changes the course of your destiny. Your fate becomes in line with the destiny that I believe that many of us sought out. Because believe it or not, I really do believe there's only certain type of knowledge that is available here. I don't believe that there is something that's all knowing on the other side. I don't believe that's how it works. I think that creation is an ever evolving process and that there is no permanent record anywhere. We're writing it as we go. So, having said that, I think that's why probably a lot of us come back here, purposely seeking a piece of the puzzle that we need. And the thing about it is, I think our adventures here are basically kind of like, you know, uh, like playing a video game, away from keyboard, something's interrupted me. So Lilith, now I never knew Lilith. In fact, I can tell you, spent the first half century of my life, don't even think I really could have told you I even would known anything about Lilith. I remember Lilith on what was the NBC show with the bar. Um, I had the name right there in my mind. But with Dr. Kramer, his wife was named Lilith. What is that? Come on, y'all remember the name of the, what was that sitcom? Cheers. So, anyway, that as far as what I knew about Lilith. And then things changed. And I suddenly became acquainted with this. And, I am a person uh, that believes that we exist amongst many, many different types of energies. You can call them beings, you can call them egregores, you can call them deities, entities, whatever. Don't believe that we occupy space alone. I also believe that there are names that travel through our collective consciousness as we continue to progress and evolve. Now, I think the jury's out is whether we're going to ever be able to, have we evolved as far as we're going to be capable of doing it. Um, so when I came to know Lilith, and when Lilith came to visit me, I still know people who are really afraid of her, and I know others who treat her very ignorantly, and I just shake my head going, okay. But for me, she's a queen. She's a goddess. And there is a beauty to her of which Eve was fashioned after. And they said that Eve was one of the most spectacular parts of this realm. And so Lilith. And the thing about it is, coming from, the Bible thing, it's where, study the Bible. J. Vernon McGee, remember that? Through the Bible. And anyway, that Lilith is never mentioned. And to be very open here, Lilith is kind of a modern construct. I mean, they say that she goes way back. Don't know. Haven't found any real hard evidence to show that, but I've seen her likeness. And if she is in fact reptilian, I don't know if she's Homo sapien. Don't know if it works like that. But I know she is what we are from. And so, anyway, I'm trying to give the background on this, and I'll get to the point right now. So, I've been looking earnestly, going, all right, Lilith has to be here. We've had clues. We know that, for instance, the first two chapters of the book of Genesis is, in fact, two different creation stories. There were two different types of beings. I don't know if they were Homo sapien. I don't know what they were. But we've got clues, and and there they were staring me right there in front of my face. So I've been looking for Lilith. Where did Lilith go? She is, I believe, represented as the serpent in the myth of the garden story. The serpent was female, feminine, and that's why they had to change it to the masculine. But I believe there were two women. Lilith was an intimate um, relationship with Eve. Why? Because the two of them were more alike than Adam was to whatever created Adam. Just going with the story, right? So Lilith. Where did she go? We know that something's up because Cain, apparently, if Cain came from Eve, then there is another joker in the deck that no one's talking about. Could have been Samuel. Don't know. But I found, and this epiphany hit me. It hit me so hard, folks. I mean, the energy was kind of, well, it was difficult at first. So in Genesis 1:26, follow me on this. This will be, if for those of you who are not religious, just sit back and enjoy the story because it's a story. So we have two sets of creation of two different type of homos. Sapiens something, I don't know. In the story of Genesis 1:26, and then you have the story in Genesis 2:7 and 9. Two separate creations, two different type of gods, apparently. So in Genesis 1:26, it says, and God created them both male and female, did he create them both? And he said, go forth and have dominion, subdue the earth, etc., etc. Now, it's real interesting in that story because if you read the second, something hit the earth, whether it was an asteroid, something hit it, something kicked the earth's ass, it burned it up or whatever, but because that's where Genesis 2 picks up. And instead of where you see that God created Adam, a man from the dust, it's actually the ash. But anyway, in that story, we have that God created the man. There was no female, no woman. And that man, as opposed to the 126 group that were apparently in paradise, this case, this one wasn't, had to be placed in there. And then we get the oddities. Then we get that the fact that, Adam apparently was having sex with all the animals and there was no satisfaction. And that's where Mick Jagger got the song that I can't get no. Doom, doom, doom. You understand what I'm saying? Then, he's saying, all right, well, this ain't working out. So, he's creating all these half humans and, hey, listen. So then the Eve thing comes along and so we get a completely different story because let's go back to the 126. So there, male, female were created at the same time, equally. Gary Wayne, in his book, The 6 Day People, called them the black-headed people, and we got reference to that in the Sumerian lore as well. So there's something to this. So we don't have a name for this male or this female. And it hit me like it was like a flash that that's Lilith. In the 126 story, that's her. She was the first. She was the first of her kind. Now, I don't know who that was that created both male and female. That's for another topic here, but let's just take the net result. So apparently we have no idea about who these people were. We don't know how long they were here. We have no idea of their culture, how they saw things esoterically. But we know this. Apparently they were without sin. And the other thing apparently they did not have was a soul. There's no record of them having a soul. Now we have a record in the second story of this intervention, and God breathed into the nostrils of man. Well, that means then God is either equal to man or bigger. That's another thing. And it said, and he breathed into him the breath of life, and Adam became a living soul. Now, this Adam cat in the second story, when he first came into the scene, didn't have a soul, or at least a living soul. And he was probably more like his predecessor, who was Eve, Now, there had to be some sort of rebellion, and I'm thinking to myself, well, could that have been extrapolated that there was a rebellion in the Genesis 1:26 story that somehow got transferred to this war in heaven? I mean, there was some heavy shit going on here. They didn't have a soul. We have no record of them dying. We don't even have a record of their names, other than this little tidbit. And if you go by what the current knowledge is that, well, those first couple of chapters were really taken from Gilgamesh, the Sumerian king. And I'm thinking to myself, could this really be where the entree of Lilith came in? And when you examine it out, even though the Liber Lilith, from Donaldson, um, whether it is a recent writing or whether it was channeled or whether it's old, it did give a different opening and view into this entity, this deity, Lilith, the true goddess of feminism, of the divine feminine. She is it. And the differences of between her and Eve in how they originate is fascinating. And I wonder how much Eve, you see, you can come there is an intercourse, there is an intimacy that never requires physicality. It's done spiritually. Paul wrote about it. Paul wrote that you should have intercourse with the Holy Spirit. People are going to say, well, now where was that? Read the book of Ephesians. But anyway, so there is this thing that, many people don't know about it. Maybe in the deep occultic aspects of they do. And I wonder how intimate Eve really became with Lilith. I wonder what what Lilith was able to transfer to Lilith before this contamination, or what I would call the rape. Because Eve was raped. And so I wonder about that, because remember, Adam never laid claim to Cain, or at least we know, if you believe if the genealogy, right? Read the book of Matthew, right? It's all laid out there. Um, then she had to have had intercourse with something that produced a different bloodline. And then you've got the whole problem with, when Cain was banished, and he's like, now, wait a minute, wait a minute. You're going to send me out there with the people on the plains? They're going to kill me. Well, where the hell did they come from? So could it be something that, hear me out, that Lilith, as she intimated in the Liber Lilith, that we're all not from the same source on this planet? It's even proven in our DNA. And I often wonder how active Lilith still is on this thing. I mean, and listen, I get it where there's this, different perceptions of Lilith and what have you, but I look at it from, it's much more of a foundation of not so much that they're better than us. We are them. They are us. We may have changed somewhat physically, but within all of us, our structures mirror that which we come from. And so I'm sitting here writing and I'm going, well, this is really interesting, because you look at the serpent. We don't have the story of the serpent in the Genesis 1:26. No serpent there at all. Um, you only have a male, and the male is the only one that receives this living soul. There's nowhere in the Bible that you can show to me that the woman, the female, has a soul. At least not one that was given by the one that was at it. I'm just reading what the book has it. Um, Again, no name for the male or the female. Apparently, there are called the 6 day people. How accurate that is. And it definitely appears that there are two different deities that we're talking about. And it appears that there was an Elia event in between the two. So if things transcend into a spiritual state from which they come and they have this third D density, which actually we live in a 4D world, because you have to have time in there. Wow. So maybe it's not all doom and gloom as it seems, right? Maybe, yeah, maybe there's going to be some event. I wrote in my notes that I get this feeling that there is going to be the shock thing coming. And the shock revelation is just going to be that something I have a sense is either been prepared, being prepared, planned, that is going to shock humanity. It's going to shock our collective consciousness. We've had things like that, war, but this is going to be nothing like this. Is going to be like that. Whatever it is, it's going to have, I get this sense within me, it's going to be like a boulder hitting a quarry pond, and you know what happens when the mass of the boulder hits that water, that energy is transferred into the substance, the ether, and you have these huge ripple effects from the central effect. That's the best way I can describe it. But anyway, Uh, neutrino waves. That's why I got out of religion. Exactly, exactly. Because it's none of them can be right if they're all wrong, right? And how can they all be right if none of them are wrong? It's like, okay, okay, something ain't right here. It tells me that somebody is riding the reins of this. Because all of us, we called shotgun, right? None of us, want to be right in the back, but I don't think, they let us into the seat. Maybe we're just taking it back. Hey, Elderberry, how you doing? So, Monk Experiment, good to see you as well. Chris, what's up? Well, I hope you've had fun. It has been a fun rant. I mean, don't usually get into those, but yeah. And, fortunately, we still do have this thing called the First Amendment. We love everybody. But sometimes, tough love has its rightful place. Not sure I completely believe in that, but, I can certainly entertain different points of it. Etsy, how are you doing? Uh, Good to see you from Tucson. How is it? Warm down there still? Beautiful part of the country. Anyway, AK Morningstar, good to see you. There are courses in cuneiform. Yes, there are. I've actually taken, I can read and it's just poquito, a little bit of the Sumerian thing. So if I became really industrious and studious, I could really get that down because once you see it's like, okay. I mean, it's still good for me. I still have to, you have to have the paper going, but okay, yeah. And that's kind of cool because in a sense, you're channeling that person's energy that was transferred into that clay that has lasted 6,000 years. Wow. Think about that. That's far out. Hello, Pamela. Good to see you. All right, everybody. I will be busy being the driver and escort for my wife into that. John, thank you. It was. Listen to the first part of it. It was quite the rant. And I believe we'll be back. I will be here on Wednesday and as it stands right now, Friday. And thank you for all of your good energies, your thoughts, your prayers. And she's recovering, and it's like baby steps, one step at a time. So we're having fun making those steps together. So Rick, thank you, brother. Appreciate that. It's starting to get cooler. For y'all, that's because you're used to what, like, 100, 105, 110. Although, yeah, wasn't that the movie Tombstone? By the way, I think that was really a great movie. It was the quintessential. Uh, I don't believe the West was like that, but I believe it was close. I mean, if they wore those type of outfits, apparently they did. I'm still trying to figure out how the hell they do that in June, July, and August. You know? But Kurt Russell plays a great role, doesn't he? As Doc Holliday and Val Kilmer, all of them. White Earp, excuse me, is what Kurt Russell played. It was Val Kilmer who did White Earp. Excellent movie, and my wife and I still like watching it. It's like, what can I say? Live your life, folks. Live it and enjoy it, even when it has those ups and those downs and the crazy turnarounds. Just dig it. Because when you transfer to the other side, you're going to look back at all of the experiences, good, bad, indifferent, and you're going to be digging them. You have a different perspective, you know? So congratulations. You made it this far. Hug yourself, hug someone around you, and we'll pick up on this on Wednesday. Trina and Jenny, love you two ladies. We will, hopefully, I think it's next week that the Tuesdays are opening. So, anyway, Gaia, much love to you. Thank you. Appreciate everyone. Joyce and Gilbert, The Quick and the Dead, another good one. Oh, yeah. Yeah, indeed, Gilbert. All right, folks, much love to you. Appreciate all of you. And